My beloved child. There is a silence around you that most people cannot hear, but it has been echoing across realms you do not see. This is not fear speaking. This is awareness awakening. From the moment you paused on this message, something ancient leaned closer to you, because pauses like this do not happen by accident. You were meant to stop. You were meant to listen. There is a reason your heart feels slightly heavier today, even if you cannot explain why. There is a reason your thoughts keep drifting, as if something important is about to be revealed but has not fully arrived yet. Angels are not panicking, but they are concerned, and there is a difference you must understand. Panic is loud and chaotic. Concern is quiet, focused, and intentional. What surrounds you right now is concern. A careful watching. A protective stillness. Something in your life is moving toward a turning point, and it is not small. It is not ordinary. It is not random. This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to prepare you. Because what is coming has the power to change the direction of your path, either by breaking you down slowly, or by waking you up completely. And the choice will not come with flashing signs or dramatic announcements. It will come disguised as a normal moment. A simple decision. A familiar face. A routine day that feels slightly off. That is why this message matters now, before that moment arrives. Listen carefully to this part, because many people miss it and regret it later. You have been protected more times than you realize. Not from dramatic disasters, but from subtle shifts that could have pulled you into long-term pain. There were conversations that almost happened but did not. Places you almost went but chose not to. Trust that those were not coincidences. They were interventions. But here is the truth that is difficult to accept. Protection does not mean prevention forever. Sometimes protection means warning. Sometimes it means allowing you to see the edge before you step too far. Right now, angels are worried because your kindness has made you vulnerable, and your silence has made others underestimate your awareness. You give people the benefit of the doubt even when your intuition whispers otherwise. You forgive quickly, even when patterns repeat. You stay quiet to keep peace, even when something inside you feels unsettled. This is beautiful, but it is also dangerous when unbalanced. Something horrible does not always mean something sudden. Sometimes it means something slowly draining your energy, your confidence, your clarity, while smiling at you the whole time. Angels see threads forming around you that are not aligned with your highest good, and they are urging you to pay attention now, not later, because later comes with a heavier cost. Here is what most people never hear, and this is why this message feels intense. The universe does not shout its warnings. It whispers them repeatedly until you either listen or learn through pain. You are in the whispering phase right now. That is a blessing. The worry surrounding you is not about your strength. You are strong. It is about your tendency to endure things you should walk away from. There is a situation in your life that feels familiar, almost comfortable in its discomfort. You tell yourself it is manageable. You tell yourself it will improve. You tell yourself that being patient is the right thing to do. But patience without boundaries slowly turns into self-neglect. Angels are worried because if this continues unchanged, it will harden something inside you that was never meant to become cold. It will teach you to doubt yourself. It will make you question your worth in quiet moments. And once that happens, rebuilding takes far longer than preventing the damage in the first place. This is not about blame. This is about awareness. You are being asked to notice what drains you after interaction, not what excites you at the beginning. You are being asked to notice patterns, not promises. You are being asked to listen to your body, not just your thoughts. There is another layer to this message, and it is deeper than most people expect. You are standing at a point where your growth is visible, even if you do not feel it. When growth becomes visible, it attracts two kinds of energy: support and resistance. Angels are worried because resistance often wears a friendly face. It does not always come as conflict. Sometimes it comes as distraction. Sometimes it comes as comfort that keeps you small. Sometimes it comes as someone who needs you more than they respect you. Something horrible, in this context, is not about loss alone. It is about delay. About being pulled away from what you are becoming. About slowly forgetting what you deserve because you are busy holding space for what does not hold you back the same way. You are not meant to carry everything. You are not meant to fix everyone. You are not meant to prove your value through endurance. This phase of your life requires clarity more than sacrifice. And clarity often arrives through discomfort, through realizations that cannot be unseen once noticed. That is why this message feels heavy. Because truth has weight. Now hear this clearly, and do not rush past it. The worry around you does not mean doom. It means urgency. It means there is still time to choose differently. To speak where you have been silent. To step back where you have been overextending. To pause before saying yes out of habit. Angels are close because your next decision carries more impact than you realize. It will either reinforce a cycle that slowly exhausts you, or it will break it completely. And breaking cycles always feels uncomfortable at first. It feels lonely. It feels uncertain. But it also feels honest. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not ungrateful for wanting more peace. You are not wrong for sensing that something is off, even if you cannot explain it yet. Trust that sensing. Trust that pause that brought you here. This is only the beginning of what you need to understand. What comes next will reveal where this path truly leads, and why paying attention now matters more than ever. Before you dismiss this as coincidence, pause and breathe, because what you are about to hear is not meant for everyone. It is meant for the one who feels an unexplainable pull to keep listening, even when logic says to scroll away. That pull is not curiosity alone. It is recognition. Something within you already knows that this moment connects to a much larger pattern in your life. Angels are worried now not because of what you have done wrong, but because of what you are about to tolerate again if nothing changes. There is a familiar cycle forming around you, subtle enough to feel normal, yet powerful enough to reshape your future. You have been here before, even if the faces and circumstances look different. The lesson returns until it is learned, and right now it is standing right in front of you, waiting. The concern is not loud. It is precise. It is focused on one truth. You are reaching a stage where repeating old patterns will cost you more than it ever has before. The price will not be paid all at once. It will be paid in small moments. In lost confidence. In delayed joy. In nights where you feel tired without knowing why. This is why attention matters now more than ever. There is something happening behind the scenes of your life that you cannot fully see yet, but you can feel its effects. You may notice sudden emotional heaviness without a clear cause. You may feel less motivated about things that once excited you. You may feel like you are giving more than you are receiving, yet telling yourself it is temporary. Angels are worried because temporary situations have a way of becoming permanent when ignored. You are not meant to constantly pour into spaces that leave you empty. You are not meant to carry emotional weight that is not yours to carry. What makes this dangerous is not intensity, but duration. Long exposure to misaligned energy slowly reshapes your self-image. It convinces you that exhaustion is normal. That compromise is love. That silence is peace. But silence that costs you your voice is not peace. It is erosion. Angels see the slow erosion beginning, and that is why this message reaches you now, before it becomes deep enough to feel irreversible. Here is the part that most people overlook, and this is where everything becomes serious. You are currently being tested, not by circumstances, but by choices that seem small. Choices like whether to speak up or stay quiet. Whether to trust your first instinct or override it to keep harmony. Whether to prioritize your inner warning signs or ignore them for comfort. These choices do not feel dramatic, which is why they are dangerous. Angels are worried because the next choice you make in this pattern will set a tone for what follows. Once a tone is set, life begins to echo it back to you. If you choose self-respect, the echo will feel unfamiliar at first, but strengthening. If you choose self-neglect, the echo will feel familiar, but draining. Something horrible does not always announce itself with chaos. Sometimes it arrives as numbness. As quiet resignation. As the slow acceptance of less than you deserve. That is the future angels are trying to redirect you away from. Understand this clearly. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Preparation often feels uncomfortable because it asks you to let go of what you have outgrown. There is a version of you trying to emerge that requires stronger boundaries, clearer choices, and deeper trust in yourself. Angels are worried because growth moments are fragile. They can be nurtured, or they can be abandoned. Right now, you stand between familiarity and truth. Familiarity feels safe because you know how it ends. Truth feels risky because it asks you to step into the unknown. But the unknown is where alignment lives. The unknown is where peace that does not require sacrifice exists. The horrible outcome being warned about is not fate. It is a path. A path you only walk if you keep choosing comfort over clarity. And paths can always be changed when you stop walking them unconsciously. Let this sink in, because this is not just guidance, it is timing. You are closer to a breakthrough than you realize, but breakthroughs often come disguised as disruptions. Something may soon challenge the way things currently operate in your life. A realization. A conversation. A moment of clarity that feels sharp but honest. Angels are worried because how you respond to that moment will define what comes next. Reacting from fear will pull you backward. Responding from awareness will push you forward. You are not alone in this. You are supported, watched over, and guided, but guidance only works when you listen. This part of the message is meant to sharpen your awareness, not burden your heart. What follows will reveal exactly what you need to watch for, and why ignoring it would be the real danger. Stay present. The most important realization is closer than you think. Something important is unfolding quietly, and it does not need noise to be powerful. The signs are subtle, almost gentle, which is why so many people miss them until the moment has already passed. You may have noticed small shifts recently. A delay that protected you. A sudden thought that stopped you from reacting. A feeling that told you to wait, even when you wanted to move fast. These are not random pauses. They are signals. Angels are worried because this phase of your life is sensitive. Sensitive does not mean weak. It means responsive. Every choice you make now responds back to you with greater intensity than before. This is what happens right before a major internal shift. Life slows you down so you can see clearly. If you rush through this phase, you risk stepping into something that looks familiar but leads you away from who you are becoming. And that distance, once created, takes effort to close again. There is a truth you need to hear, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. You have outgrown something that still has access to you. That access is emotional, mental, or energetic. It shows up as obligation, as loyalty, as the feeling that you owe consistency to something that no longer feeds your spirit. Angels are worried because growth and attachment often clash at this stage. When they do, attachment tries to convince you that change is betrayal. That choosing yourself is selfish. That staying the same is safer. But staying the same when you have outgrown a situation creates internal conflict. That conflict drains you slowly. It makes you question your instincts. It teaches you to second-guess your needs. Over time, it dims your clarity. This is not your fault. It is a natural part of evolution. But awareness is required now, because continuing without adjustment will quietly reshape your future in ways you did not intend. Pay attention to how your body reacts before your mind catches up. The body knows first. Tightness. Fatigue. Restlessness. These are not inconveniences. They are communication. Angels are worried because you have learned to override these signals in the past. You told yourself it was normal. That you were overthinking. That you should be grateful and move on. But gratitude does not require self-denial. Strength does not require silence. Peace does not require constant compromise. Something is asking for your honesty now. Not the honesty you give others, but the honesty you give yourself when no one is watching. That honesty may lead to difficult realizations, but it also leads to freedom. Ignoring it leads to repetition. And repetition without growth slowly turns into regret. Here is the part that changes everything if you truly understand it. You are not here to endure life. You are here to experience alignment. Alignment feels calm, even when it challenges you. Misalignment feels heavy, even when it looks fine on the surface. Angels are worried because you are standing at a crossroads where misalignment can still be mistaken for familiarity. Once that line is crossed, it becomes harder to tell the difference. This is why your intuition has been louder lately. This is why you feel moments of clarity followed by doubt. Doubt is not failure. It is the mind trying to catch up with what the soul already knows. Do not rush to silence that doubt. Sit with it. Observe it. Ask yourself what it is protecting you from seeing. The answers will not come all at once, but they will come honestly. Let this moment anchor into you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to make a powerful shift. Angels are worried because this shift requires courage, not force. Courage to pause. Courage to choose differently. Courage to let go of what feels safe but limits you. The next phase of your life will not be built on sacrifice. It will be built on clarity. And clarity begins with awareness. What comes next will help you recognize the exact moment when the choice appears, so you do not miss it or misunderstand it. Stay attentive. The turning point is closer than it appears, and how you meet it will shape everything that follows. There is a moment approaching that will look ordinary to everyone else, but it will feel different to you. It will not arrive with drama or urgency. It will arrive quietly, almost politely, asking for a response rather than demanding one. This is the moment angels are worried about, not because it is dangerous on its own, but because it will test whether you trust yourself or doubt yourself again. You may feel an instant inner signal, a subtle pull toward clarity, followed quickly by a familiar urge to explain it away. That second urge is the old pattern trying to survive. Angels are close because this moment will not repeat in the same way. It is a hinge point. How you respond will decide whether you move forward lighter, or continue carrying what was never meant to stay with you this long. You need to understand why this moment matters so much. For a long time, you have been stronger than necessary. You adapted. You adjusted. You made yourself flexible so situations would not break. But flexibility without limits eventually bends into exhaustion. Angels are worried because your strength has been misunderstood, even by you. You have confused endurance with purpose. Just because you can survive something does not mean you should. There is a difference between being capable and being called. This upcoming moment will reveal that difference clearly, if you allow it. You will feel it in the way your chest tightens or relaxes. In the way your mind goes quiet instead of racing. That quiet is not confusion. It is recognition. Do not rush to fill it with noise or justification. That silence is where truth speaks most clearly. This is where the warning becomes very specific, and very important. If you ignore this moment, nothing terrible will happen immediately. Life will continue. People will smile. Routines will resume. And that is exactly why it is risky. The cost of ignoring alignment is rarely instant. It is cumulative. It shows up later as dissatisfaction you cannot name. As emotional distance from yourself. As the feeling that you missed something important but cannot explain what it was. Angels are worried because they see how easily this moment could be minimized. How easily you could choose what is expected instead of what is right for you. That choice would not make you a bad person. It would make you tired in ways rest cannot fix. There is also something you must release in order to move forward. The belief that choosing yourself will hurt others more than it hurts you to stay small. This belief has kept you stuck longer than you realize. Angels are worried because guilt has become a familiar companion in your decision-making. Guilt is not guidance. It is conditioning. Guidance feels calm, even when it asks for bravery. Guilt feels heavy, even when it pretends to be responsibility. The moment coming will challenge this belief directly. You may be tempted to sacrifice clarity for comfort, or honesty for harmony. But harmony built on self-denial never lasts. It fractures quietly, from the inside out. Take this message as a reminder of who you are becoming, not who you have been. You are stepping into a phase where self-respect matters more than approval. Where truth matters more than ease. Angels are worried because this phase requires a clean decision, not a compromise. Half choices keep you in half lives. Full choices feel uncomfortable at first, but they create space for something better to enter. You are not being asked to rush. You are being asked to be present. The next part will reveal what clarity feels like when it finally arrives, and how to recognize it without fear. Stay with this. The shift you have been sensing is about to become unmistakable. What you are about to recognize will not feel like a sudden revelation. It will feel like remembering something you always knew but stopped trusting. Clarity often arrives this way, quietly restoring what doubt interrupted. Angels are worried because this recognition changes how you see everything that comes after it. Once you see clearly, pretending becomes exhausting. You will begin to notice how certain situations drain you faster than others. How some conversations leave you calm, while others leave you restless. These reactions are not accidental. They are signals refining your awareness. The moment clarity settles in, you will feel a strange mix of relief and responsibility. Relief, because things finally make sense. Responsibility, because now you cannot unsee what you see. This is where growth becomes real, not theoretical. There is a reason this phase feels emotionally intense even when nothing dramatic is happening on the surface. Your inner standards are changing. What you once tolerated without question now feels heavier. What you once justified now feels misaligned. Angels are worried because this is usually the point where people try to negotiate with their own truth. They say they will change later. They say now is not the right time. They say things will improve on their own. But truth does not negotiate. It waits. And waiting too long comes with a quiet cost. You may feel a pull to simplify. To step back. To create space where there has been constant effort. This is not withdrawal. It is recalibration. You are not losing interest in life. You are losing interest in what no longer fits. Pay close attention to how peace shows up for you now. It may not feel exciting. It may feel unfamiliar. Peace does not rush you. It does not demand explanations. It does not leave you replaying conversations in your head. Angels are worried because excitement is often mistaken for alignment, while peace is mistaken for boredom. But peace is where clarity grows. Peace is where your intuition becomes steady instead of reactive. If something consistently disrupts your peace, that is information, not inconvenience. You are allowed to honor it. You are allowed to adjust your path without making yourself wrong for needing something different now than you needed before. This is also where self-trust becomes essential. You have spent time doubting your inner signals because you were taught to prioritize external expectations.